Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Divyam Gandhi and I make content around journey of self-discovery and self-love. In this video, I'm going to talk about 7 books that you need to read in 2023. So, the first book is a biography of Will Smith, which is called Will. I actually read this book. I actually heard this book as an audiobook because I usually prefer reading nonfiction as an audiobook. And I have to say, I won't even recommend you reading this book. I would definitely recommend you listening to this book because this book has been an experience. Like, it was not just a book, it was a whole experience. The whole time I was listening to this book, it just felt like I was sitting down at a dinner table with an old friend and just listening to his life stories. I laughed, I cried, I I was angry on his behalf. I felt everything that Will Smith said he felt. And the best part is that the book is narrated by him. The physical copy also has a lot of pictures from his life, like this. But this book is so precious. Will Smith has been so candid with his life. He has laid down all of his flaws. He has laid down his entire life for scrutiny, his mistakes, his achievements, everything he has felt at every milestone of his life. And I felt so connected with him. I felt so engaged, and it's just his entire story is so human. He has not depicted himself as this perfect human being. He has actually portrayed how flawed he is and how he has made mistakes and how his mistakes had impacted so many things in his life. There are moments where he has even discussed about his dark intrusive thoughts that we as people feel very ashamed to admit to even ourselves. And that is why, like, I found this book very, very precious because I felt like he has been really authentic to who he is as a person. And I love that part. So this is my first recommendation, which is Will by Will Smith. And if you can listen to the audiobook, I would recommend listen to the audiobook. The second book that I want to recommend you is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. So this was actually the first ever non-fiction book that I have read in my life. I actually again heard it as an audiobook. And it was so impactful. He has time and time again throughout the book repeated the significance of why the why is important in your life, why finding your purpose is important in your life, and he has explained it in with different ways, with different examples, in different scenarios, whether it's workplace, whether it's personal why. And he really, really convinced me why finding my purpose is so important. And I also followed it up with its workbook, which is Find Your Why. And I actually worked through it with a friend of mine, and I discovered my why last year, which I have to say has been life transforming. It has given me so much focus, so much direction, and I think I will make a separate video about it. But a lot of people found Start With Why very repetitive. Simon Sinek actually has a TED talk called, I think, the Golden Circle. And people say that that is sufficient in itself. I have personally not watched the TED talk, but I found the book to be very impactful because he has time and time emphasized why finding your why is important and how it can bring you back into alignment with yourself if you have lost your way down the path. And since I have discovered my why, my every all of my goals, all of my visions, and everything that I have been doing has been so aligned and has been so intentional, because I don't feel like every time I'm lost, all I have to think about is why I'm doing this. And if it aligns with my personal why, I feel like this is it. So it has given me a lot of direction, it has given me a lot of focus. And yeah, like this book has been really really impactful. So if you are feeling a little lost in life, if you want to find your purpose in life, I highly highly recommend Start With Why by Simon Sinek. The third book that I want to recommend is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I am pretty sure most of you have heard of this book. It is pretty famous, and very rightly so, because I have had a really tough relationship with money. I have had a lot of limiting beliefs around money. I have struggled with earning money for the longest time. And when I started educating myself on finances and on money and everything related to that, this book was the one that actually allowed me to feel like whatever I have been feeling about money has been valid. It didn't make me feel stupid about my limiting beliefs. It actually affirmed them, that it's okay to have those limiting beliefs. It is okay to feel about money as you do. And like, it starts with a chapter which is about that everything that you know about money, everything that you think about money, the way you handle it, the mindset you have around it, is everything is based on how you have been brought up. And that is something that so many financial gurus and financial teachers actually not take into consideration, because you need to work around your psychology to actually understand money and develop a relationship with it. So this book has been very very comforting, very informative, and given me a lot of perspective about money. And yes, you do get a lot of practical tips. You also get a lot of psychological tips around money, and a lot of comfort with your mindset and where you are, and a chance to actually expand it. So I would definitely recommend Psychology of Money. The fourth book that I want to recommend is Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. Now, I know most of you must have heard about Atomic Habits, and many of you must have even read it. But Tiny Habits, in a lot of ways, is very, very similar to Atomic Habits. And at the same time, it is very different. I personally have gained, like, the practical tips that are explained in Tiny Habits were much more helpful for me than Atomic Habits, even though Atomic Habits has so many insights, so many practical insights. And if you can, I would definitely recommend reading both of them, because I feel the combination of them is like very very powerful. But in Tiny Habits, the author emphasizes on the fact that you do not need willpower to develop habits. And I think that is something that a lot of us struggle with, because when we are not able to do something, we beat ourselves up. And in Tiny Habits, the author has actually emphasized the importance of feeling good for change. And secondly, he has talked about how you do not need willpower. And he has explained the entire habit development phenomena, if that's what you can call it, from a behavior perspective, like how you develop any kind of behavior consciously or subconsciously is the same way you develop a habit or break a habit. And it has been so powerful. I have personally attempted it in a lot of areas in my life, and it has been very natural, very like non-stressful, and it has really helped me stick with habits and not beat myself up even if I'm not able to, do a specific habit. So I would definitely recommend you Tiny Habits. So if you are on self-improvement journey and you're trying to build new habits, Tiny Habits is a must read for you. And if you can combine it with Atomic Habits, super. My fifth recommendation is also an autobiography. It is Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. And again, I heard it as an audiobook as well, which was actually, it's actually very nice to hear autobiographies as audiobooks, especially if they are narrated by the author, because I feel like they narrate their story in their own way, in their own style, and it's literally like listening to somebody's life story. I mean, obviously it is, but just, you get what I mean. So, this book is written in a very different way. I mean, this it's very interesting also. Like, he has pages from his journals. I don't know if you can see, but he has like snippets from his journals. He has notes in a lot of sections, and it's very fun to read. Like, you actually feel like you're getting an inside glimpse into his journal, into his very, very personal life. And Matthew McConaughey, personally, I find him such a grounded person, such a beautiful soul. I really, really love him as an actor, as a creative personality, and the way that he has talked about his life. It's very beautiful and it's very relatable. He has, even though he's a very, very famous actor, you actually find his story so relatable in so many ways, because even by the end of the book, where he's actually an established actor, you don't feel like he's swept up in fame. You feel like he's still the same person that he was when he started the book in his childhood. And it's so heartwarming and it's so wholesome, and I loved it. I loved every second of it, and I would really recommend that you read it, because it's a gem of a book. You really, like, if you have to pick up any autobiography, I would recommend Green Lights and Will. Both of those are just amazing. So yeah, that's my fifth recommendation. My last two recommendations are both fiction books. I feel like reading non-fiction as well as fiction is equally important, because reading fiction helps you expand your imagination and, grow your creativity, grow your perspective. And it's a beautiful, beautiful journey diving deep into a book. So my sixth recommendation and my first fiction recommendation is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I'm pretty sure most of you must have heard of this. It's a pretty famous book. It's a story about a shepherd who embarks on a journey of finding his destiny and finding his purpose in life. The most beautiful part about this book is it serves different purposes in different areas of your life. I have read this book thrice in my entire life. First, when I was in seventh standard, second time when I was in second year of college, and the third time in 2021. And every single time I read this book, I learned something new. I gained a new perspective, something different hit me every single time I read it. And that's the beauty of it. Like, it is filled with so much perspective, it is filled with so much knowledge, but it is depicted in such a beautiful story that you don't get bored. You don't feel like it's a lot of philosophical BS, because it's actually happening to the main character that you're already attached to. And you get so involved in the journey. You're actually like rooting for the shepherd to find what he has been looking for all this while. And the way that this book ends, it is such a big lesson in life. I'm getting emotional even talking about this, because it's a very special book. And if you have to start your reading journey with a fiction book, I would highly recommend starting with The Alchemist. You will not regret it. You will seriously not regret it. And the last book that I feel you must read in 2023 is The Night Circus. This book, like, it's literally, I was going to use this exact same adjective to describe this book, which is written on the cover as a review from the Times. It is breathtaking. It is, oh my God, it is so breathtaking. It is so magical. It is so enchanting. It's a story about a circus that suddenly appears out of nowhere in different parts of the world. And it's a circus that is only open at night. The story continues from two perspectives, one from the perspective of a little boy who is part of the audience and who is experiencing the circus as an audience, and the other is through perspective of the people involved in the circus. You get so consumed in the story, and the author has written it so beautifully. Each and every line, each and every scene, it's written in such a magical way that it literally takes your breath away. It feels so surreal, and when this book ended, I felt like I should have never read it, because then I would have had a chance to read it again. Again, I'm getting very emotional because this book was so beautiful. Um, yeah, this it was a beautiful experience reading this book. There is romance between the main characters, but that romance is so subtle, and it's so like the connection and the chemistry between the two people who are the main characters of the story is depicted in such a it's depicted in such a subtle yet powerful way. Like, you feel the chemistry, but it is not described. You just feel it. That's how magically this book is written. And I feel like anybody who is not reading this book is really missing out. This author, Erin Morgenstern, has just written two books. One is The Night Circus. The second book is The Starless Sea. I actually haven't read The Starless Sea. I did start it, and I read only 3 pages of the book. And then I was like, you know what? This author has just written two books, and The Starless Sea already started on such a magical note that I was like, I want to save this. Like, if I read this, I will have nothing more to read. So I actually I actually didn't go through with the book. I have kept it for when I will need it. I don't know when, but yeah. So this author has a really special gift for writing, and you are really missing out if you don't read it. So if you want to pick up a fiction, Night Circus is really high on my list of recommendations, so please do that. So these were the 7 book recommendations that I have for you for 2023. I'm pretty sure down the year I will have more. I love talking about books, and so I will definitely be making more videos about books. But this is all for today. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you would like to watch more content about discovering yourself and upleveling your life, please subscribe to my channel. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.